Hi boys and girls, this is lesson 14 problem set. Our must-do problems on our problem set are 1B, D, E, and also 3 and 4. So those are the problems we'll do first, and then I'll go back and do the others in case you want to stick with me to see how those other ones are done to challenge yourself a little bit. So question number 1 has many different parts to it. We're going to do a few of them. And the directions say, read with me, round to the nearest 100. Use the number line to model your thinking. So when we're rounding to the nearest 100, we need to think of our place value chart. So I'm going to draw a little place value chart up here. And we have our ones. We have our tens, hundreds, and then thousands. So we are working on rounding to the nearest 100 for this lesson. So let's look at 1B, and we have the number 286. So on our vertical number line, we're going to write the 100 that comes before 286 in our counting, which would be 200. And the 100 that comes after that, which would be 300. And our halfway point, any halfway point between hundreds is 50. And since we're in the 200s, our halfway point would be 250. Now let's think in our counting. Does 286 come before 250 or after 250? Well, the 200s are the same. So if we're thinking about 86 and 50, 86 would come after, somewhere around there. It's not going to be exact. So 286 is about 300 because it's past the halfway mark. And just like when rounding to tens, if it's past the halfway mark, we go up to the next 100. And remember, this little squiggly equal sign means about. It means the word about. Let's look at letter D. Here we have 1,320. So again, we're still looking at hundreds, so the 1,000 isn't going to change. When we look at 320, the 100 before that is 300. The 100 after that is 400. So we're going to label our vertical number line that way. And halfway between there would be 1,350. So now we can look at the parts that are different, 20 and 50. Would 20 come before our halfway point of 1,350 or after? If you said before, you are correct. It would come right about there. So 1,320 is about 1,300. Since it's not at the halfway point, we round to the lower number. Let's take a look at letter E. Boys and girls, make sure you're writing exactly what I am, and even when I say the final answer, make sure you're repeating that so that you get practice saying it. 1,572. We want to round it to the nearest 100. Our 1,000 is going to stay the same. The 100 that comes before 572 is 500. The 100 that comes after that is 600. And our halfway point would be, go ahead and see if you can label that on your own, 1,550. So now the 1,000 and the 500 are the same. So we're going to take a look at the 50 and the 72. Does 72 come before or after 50 when we're counting? It comes after, so we would put it somewhere around there. It's not going to be exact, but in the area. And we can clearly see that it is past the halfway point, so we are going to round it to the next highest 100. Let's move on to problem number 3. Problem number 3 says, circle the numbers that round to 600 when rounding to the nearest 100. Circle the numbers that round to 600. So we have to look at each of these numbers, think about where it would be on our vertical number line, which hundreds it comes between, and which one would round to 600. Well, if we're thinking about 527, we're thinking about the hundreds of 500 and 600. 527 is not even halfway, so it would not round to 600. Go ahead and see if you can figure the others out. Pause the video and then come back to check your work with me. Welcome back. Let's see if you got them correct. 550 rounds to 600 because that is actually exactly halfway between 500 and 600. So halfway or higher, we go to the next highest 100. 639 also rounds to 600 because it's less than halfway. I'm sorry, 550 does not round to 600. Oh my goodness, Mrs. Goshert. 550 would be between, oh yes it does. Oh my goodness, Mrs. Goshert's losing her marbles. It does round to 600. Sorry, boys and girls. 639, the hundreds it comes between is 600 and 700, and it's not halfway, so it would round down to 600. 681, that is past the halfway point between 600 and 700, so that would not round to 600. 713, it's already over 700, so we're not going to round all the way down to 600. And 603 does round to 600 because it's not even close to being at the halfway point of 650. Number 4, let's read it together. The teacher asks students to round 1,865 to the nearest 100. Christian says that it is 1,900. Alexis disagrees and says it is 1900s. Who is correct? Explain your thinking. So we're going to take a look at this. I'm going to first draw my vertical number line because I need to figure out what 100 I'm going to round this to. So our number is 1,865. The 100 before that is 1,800. The 100 after is 1,900. Halfway would be 1,850. And my 1,865 comes after that point. So 1,865 is about 1,900. And that is what Christian said it is. So Christian is correct. Alexis says it's 1900s. Is she also correct? She is, because 1,900 is equal to 1900s. It's a different way to write it. So they are both correct. And I don't have to really say anything else because I've showed my work right here. I can clearly see that I understand 1,900 is the same as 1900s. boys and girls, I'm going to make a second video that shows the other problems for those boys and girls who want to try the other ones. So make sure you have all your work done correctly, and you must submit this part.